What is up, guys? Chris here for GQ37. Today I want to talk about tackling the second gen FX stock exhaust sound. I know it's a common complaint and thread for the second gen FX, whether it be 35, 37, or QX70, and people just saying that it doesn't sound as good as the first gen. And so today I'm going to show you what I did, if it's any help at all to those out there. I know not everybody's gonna like it. For some it won't be loud enough, for some you may. For me it's just right, exactly what I was looking for, but I'm going to share that with you coming up. Alright guys, welcome back. Now before we get started, shameless plug here. Many of you know, if you've been following the channel, that I'm a musician and a saxophone player. I do soul, smooth jazz, R&B type music, and my latest project is dropping next month, West Coast Soul. The title track single just released and went to Smooth Jazz Radio about 2 weeks ago. It's already been picked up by Sirius XM, Watercolors, and many other outlets. But if you want to check it out, it's available on my website, chrisgeibler.com, as well as all of my music is available. All your streaming and download services, Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, Tidal, wherever you buy or download music, you can check it out. If you like saxophone music, I think you'll like it. So anyway, shameless plug over. Back to the exhaust video at hand. It's been a common complaint and thread about second gen FXs just not sounding as good as the first gen, and I have to agree. The 350Zs, the G35, I've owned all those. I've owned two first gen FX35s, and they sounded great. That nice baritone, exotic kind of exhaust note from the VQ engine was perfect. The second gens, they definitely subdued that, and we can talk about that a little bit more after these exhaust clips. I want to go ahead and get to the exhaust clips. I know that's what you're really here for, and then afterwards, stick around. I'll talk about why I chose this platform, which is the NISMO catback exhaust. This OEM NISMO exhaust from a 370Z is what I decided to go with here, and mainly just because I didn't want anything too loud. I wanted no drone. I just wanted something a little bit deeper, a little bit louder than what the factory gave us with these second gens. But without further ado, here's some before and after clips, stock versus the NISMO. It's very subtle. We'll talk about that afterwards. And anyway, here we go. So it's a subtle difference. It's not a huge step louder on the outside. I think on the outside of the vehicle it already sounded pretty good stock. It just did not translate to the inside
of the vehicle when we're driving compared to the first gens. This NISMO exhaust, I feel like the way it shines is on the interior acceleration. When you're driving it, it is quite a bit louder and more aggressive, and that's exactly what I wanted. And I think if we're honest, that's what most of us really want, because that's where we spend our time, is the inside of the vehicle. And so here's a few interior acceleration clips.
Alright guys, so as you heard, it's a very subtle difference. Many of you, I can already see in the comments, will be like, there's no difference, I don't hear any change. Listen with headphones, there is a difference, but it's subtle, and that's what I wanted. Now, if those of you that are wanting a night and day difference, you want deep and loud and all that, this definitely isn't going to be for you. This is for someone that really just wants a subtle, it should have come from the factory kind of sound. And to me, that's what it was. I really wanted it to sound like my first gen. I love the way the first gen sounded, the 350Zs, the G35s. So, you know, if you're looking for something louder, NVIDIA Gemini has a great sound. We won't really have any drone. I had one of those on a 350Z that I owned. So that's an option, but they don't make any kits for the FX. Everything's going to have to be customized no matter what you buy. So then that adds to the price. Let's talking about that. The price of this, you know, you pick these up from like a salvage yard that use NISMO exhaust, so it's going to vary depending on where you are and if you're having to have it shipped and things like that. Otherwise, you're looking at a few $100. And then I paid another couple $100 to have it installed and had the tubing lengthened. They had to extend that about 10 inches for the bracing and the chassis, and then they have to extend the tips out about 4 inches too, because it's longer. It would be really subdued into the bumper if not. And so there is definitely some custom modification that has to be done for this. And so with that, it cost almost as much as buying a box exhaust. You know, NVIDIA is going to run you, you know, $800–900 or so, but then you'll still have to have that customized. So it's still cheaper, but you know, it may not be as loud as you want. It may be exactly what you want, and that's why I want to show people that may be thinking, I wonder if that would work. Well, this is what it sounds like, and this is why I chose this. I didn't want any of that drone or anything like that. You know, another option would be the Monzo Axleback exhaust. I put those on my G37 initially. I did a video on that. You can check that out in your upper right corner of the screen, a link to that video, and it was good for what it was. It was a very affordable mod, and it's something you could definitely do with this. Again, you'll have to have the tips extended, but it would work. There was a little bit of drone with that, and I addressed that in a separate video to help with some of that drone with some sound deadening material I put inside the car. So that's an option too. I didn't want to go loud with this. Again, I could have did the same exact custom build I did on my G37 when I did the custom cat back with the high flow cats. That video you can check out there in the upper right as well. I love the way that sounded. It was great for the G37 for a sports car. It was a lot louder than this by all means, but by the time I got done with that custom build, there wasn't really any drone. It just sounded really good. But I didn't want something that loud with this. This is an SUV, you know, a cold start, that was still very loud. Probably woke up the neighbors, definitely woke up my sleeping kids early in the morning when I had to go on my hospital rotations. So I decided not to go that route this time. This is a luxury SUV. I still wanted it to kind of feel as such. Also, I conduct a lot of business phone calls in the car, driving and commuting, and so just accelerating and just driving, people on the other end of the phone could always hear that exhaust. And as cool as that is, I didn't always want that on my business calls and things like that. So I decided to keep this build a lot more subdued and under wraps. But I just wanted it to sound basically like it came from the factory that way. And I feel like I've got that now. Again, it's very subtle, and for many of you, this may not be what you want, but hopefully this video will help show you that, and then you won't have to wonder. So hopefully it's helpful in more ways than one. One of the reasons I think that the second gen, the VQ37 platform does not sound as good as the first gen VQ35 to many is that you've got twice the piping. On the first gens, it was a single exit. You had the Y pipe, and then it's just a single exit exhaust that goes to dual outlets and a muffler, but it's not a true dual exhaust by any means. And so for that reason, it was a good bit louder, I believe. Of course, the second gens, you got the VQ37. It still comes off that same Y pipe. Then it goes into like an X pipe for a second, then splits back out, branches into a dual exhaust setup all the way back with dual outlets. And so you've got twice the piping there and twice the resonation, so it's just going to be a lot quieter overall. It still sounds good from the outside. We're like, hey, it actually doesn't sound bad, but for some reason that doesn't translate to inside the car. There's probably also more sound dampening as well, but I agree, the first gens just sounded better, and so I was trying to recapture some of that with this. The NISMO exhaust is a true dual exhaust. It has the H pipe from the NISMO. I believe it's 2.5 inch diameter too, so there's a little bit more flow with that. But it's exactly what I was looking for. Again, it's maybe more expensive than many would want to spend for such a subtle difference, but it's what I was looking for, and it worked well for me. So I just wanted to share my experience for some of you that may be looking into this and the exhaust options. Again, there's plenty out there. You could definitely go a custom route. There's some trial and error with that, and with the back and forth, that can get somewhat costly, but if you can get it right pretty quick from the beginning, it is a pretty affordable way to go. In my custom G37 exhaust video, I showed you how you can build that exhaust for less than $500. I ended up putting high flow cats in the mix. It still came out cheaper than most box exhausts, and I could have gone that way with this. High flow cats definitely make it louder. So you could just put high flow cats on your stock exhaust and it will make it significantly louder, but you may have some rasp there if you don't customize some other things. So again, there's trial and error with this. There is no right answer, one size fits all. Everybody's expectations and what they want is going to be a little bit different, but this is what fit the bill for me. This is what I was looking for, and so again, hopefully it's helpful to some of you out there, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks for your comments, your likes, subscribing. There will be more QX70 second gen FX videos coming soon, so definitely stay tuned, and I'll see you then. Put a camera behind the stock vehicle.